Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. You can tell from the thumbnail we're going to be talking about the Growler and her houses again. For you see, when the announcement was made that they were going to build 1.5 million houses, the initial figure, which was actually 100,000 shy of what the Tories promised. The Tories didn't even get close. And then she said, oh no, we're going to make it 1.8 million. I'm going to tell you now, if she builds 800,000 in a 5-year period, she'll be done very, very well. And we're going to look at a few more reasons why. Now, I've covered some in the past. Supply lines, lack of skilled workers, and planning is always a big problem. But there's more to that. For you see, obviously, with a lack of tradesmen, they can only work so many hours. They can only work on so many sites. They literally don't have the people to build. And she knows this. And she's tried addressing this by saying, oh, well, we need to get people into training. Well, even if you start now, you're not going to get a half-decent bricklayer out of these people for 5, 6, 7 years. So training is going to achieve nothing. Now, please do go on and train. Absolutely. I don't have a problem with training. But training won't be a solution to her problem. And another problem, of course, is cost. And this is the big one that nobody wants to address. For you see, with everything going up in price, because obviously you've got your massive increase in national insurance, which means that employment costs go up massively because, builders, tradesmen earn a lot of money. And so if they're employed directly by a company or whatever, that company has to pay the increased cost. But also, all the supply down the line, that cost has gone up because they've all had to pay extra costs for national insurance. That gets put onto the bill, and it's all the way up through the supply line. And so everything is going up. So the actual materials and labour cost to build these houses is increasing. And that, of course, gets passed on to the purchaser. So effectively, there's house price inflation. That's the price they're selling the houses at, because that's how much it costs to build. Now, people have said, house prices will rise under Labour, as though it's a good thing. Well, it's a brilliant thing if you own your house, because a rising tide lifts all boats. So if you're someone who owns a house, well done you. You're about to benefit, because when new houses go up in value, then the other houses around them also rise. Who does this not help? Well, buyers. Anyone who doesn't have a house is going to find it harder to get one. And of course, the higher the value of the house, the bigger the deposit you need in order to get your mortgage, and so on. And so what happens? Well, houses become even more unaffordable. This is another aspect of the genius that is Rachel Reeves, and she's actually screwing over the plan of Angela Rayner to build these houses. It's not going to do any good. On top of that, as house price pressure, there's the increase in fuel duty that she's announced. And of course, that also means that people have to charge more because they're going back and forth. All the supply and delivery stuff is more because of the increased cost and so forth. And again, this gets passed on in the form of house price inflation. Do we see a pattern emerging here? It's almost as though they haven't got a clue how to run an economy. Now, apart from that side of things, there's also the fact that they're now having to try and change planning laws so that nobody can object, if you will. Now, Rayner herself has said, we're going to change planning departments, council planning departments, blah, blah, blah. And that's fine. You can change planning departments. However, what she hasn't addressed is everyone else involved that's not part of the planning department. So, for example, it has to go and get referred to parish councils. She hasn't thought of that. Town councils, borough councils, district councils, county councils. Then there's all the other mitigation things that she hasn't thought about. We've covered this earlier with the newts thing. But these laws are in place to protect wildlife and heritage And what about listed buildings and things like this? She hasn't got a clue how difficult it's going to be to do this. There's also going to be local resistance. There's going to be people going to be holding up on the actual building and holding builders up and putting protesters up. That also will slow it down and increase costs to the builders, which will then get passed on. The house prices rise. It's all there. Everything's there. And so there is zero chance. Now, there's the builders, the NHBC, National House Builders Confederation, has done a projected build for the entire 5-year period, going back to the 4th of July, saying, right, from that date until the next election, got to build so many houses, boom, 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 boom. How are we going to get there? They estimate that in that time, 5 years, they're going to average 250,000 houses a year at best. And that's not allowing for exceptional circumstances. So if you have a particularly bad winter, for example, that will slow it down. If there's problems in the ports, that will slow it down. You know, there's all sorts of things. But at best, £750,000, which is less than half of what they project. And we haven't even got to the elephant in the room, because from 2027, all new builds have to have heat pumps. And people don't want heat pumps. So these builders are going to have to build these houses. They'll put the heat pumps in. People are coming along and go, yeah, nice house, don't like it. Got a heat pump, I want gas. And they'll go and buy an already built house down the road. And so the builders will put their capital into building these sites, all filled with heat pumps, and then they can't sell them. And then what happens? Well, they can't go and build something else because they need the sale of that house to release the capital to go and do the next one. That's how building works. And of course, if they've got their capital tied up in these buildings, building just comes to a complete halt. It's people not understanding how the building industry works. Now, at that point, of course, builders are just going to say, you know what, I'm not even going to start these houses because I know I can't sell them because they've got heat pumps in them. How's she going to achieve this building if nobody is willing to build because no one's willing to buy heat pump houses? It's catch-22, isn't it? We haven't got enough houses. Yes, we'll build houses. We can't. Why? Nobody wants to buy houses. If you want to buy houses, if you want to build houses that people buy, you put gas central heating in. It's simple. They don't get it, do they? I don't understand what their problem is. Why on earth do these people not get it? So you've got this combination of Rachel Reeves, the moron, Angela Rayner, the moron, everyone else in government, the moron, being led by an inhuman android moron, the Starmer Droid 4000, who hasn't got a clue. And then they're gonna fail spectacularly at everything, and it'll all be our fault. Look at the people of Britain not buying these houses with heat pumps. Let me know what you think, and let's watch. Sit back, get the popcorn out, because over the next 18 months, it's all gonna crash and burn. Thanks very much. Bye.